Welcome to Miyconst Hardware. Every now and then people are coming to me with questions like, I have Ryzen 5 3600 and RTX 3060, and right now I have 200 extra US dollars and I would like to upgrade my PC. Shall I buy a better graphics card or a better CPU? Usually I just ask, what is your current monitor? And in most of the cases it turns out that people are still using the ancient 1080p 60Hz monitors. So in such cases, I simply advise people to keep their current setup and upgrade their monitor, because for 200 US dollars you can't really buy a better graphics card, and upgrading a CPU with such an old monitor doesn't make much of a sense. I am not a monitor tester, I'm not a monitor expert. Nevertheless, today I have got an opportunity to test this budget gaming monitor from Titan Army. They sent me this monitor free of charge, but I will say about the monitor whatever I want. My review is going to be totally unprofessional and very biased because, just like I said, I'm not an expert. I cannot test properly the brightness, the contrast, the backlight bleeding, and so on and so on. I'm just going to test this monitor from a simple user's perspective of view. I will verify how it delivers the features that I really care about and how it compares to my much more expensive monitor. So this Titan Army is P27GR, costs about 170 USD or 170 euros depending on your region. My Asus TUF Gaming VG28UQL1A, who gives these names, costs about 600 to 700 euros depending on the region and pricing discounts. As you can see, my Asus cost about 4 times as much as this Titan Army. Nevertheless, I'm going to compare them from my personal point of view. So, Titan Army P27GR, this one is a 2K or 1440p monitor with IPS panel, 1 millisecond response time, and 180 Hz refresh rate. It also supports FreeSync, and they also claim to have HDR10 support. In my opinion, HDR10 is just a buzzword or a gimmick, and you shall not treat this monitor as an HDR compatible. In my opinion as well, HDR is not that important when it comes to budget gaming monitors. Now let's talk about the test results, and I will start with power consumption because for me personally it's very important. And it is important not because of the electricity cost, but because of the warmth in my room. I really hate when it warms up, and that's why I measured the power consumption. When the monitor goes to sleep, it doesn't consume anything, just 0 watt. Then, when I use the standard mode with no additional changes in the monitor setup, it consumes about 27 watt of electricity, which is not bad at all, and this is running at 1440p and 180 Hz. There is also a power-saving option or ebook mode when you just want to read from the monitor, and in that mode it consumes only 22 watt of electricity. Finally, the monitor also has some gaming modes, and from what I can see, the gaming modes are just simply increasing brightness and contrast depending on which game mode you pick. I have tested FPS mode, and it consumes about 32 watts of electricity. If I put brightness to maximum, the monitor will consume about 35 watts of electricity. I think it's not much and very reasonable. For example, my Asus monitor with the default settings with 4K and 144 Hz consumes about 37 watts of electricity. So this one with the standard settings would consume about 10 watts less, but it is 2K, not 4K resolution. FreeSync of this monitor works from 48 to 180 Hz, which is very good. Usually FreeSync is the most important between 80 and 100 Hz because that's usually where you get your frame stutters and frame desync in most of the games, so 48 to 180 Hz is a very good FreeSync range. And yes, AMD drivers report correctly that the monitor supports this range. Unfortunately, the monitor built-in refresh rate indicator doesn't really report what is the current refresh rate. It only reports what are the settings of the monitor set to. So if you put 180 Hz, it will always show 180 Hz, even though the monitor adjusts refresh rate according to the FPS you get in your game. HDR experience on this monitor is pretty bad. Just like I said, you shall not treat this monitor as HDR compatible because HDR10 is just a buzzword. So I have tested a couple of HDR demos and I could not see any difference with HDR turned on or off with this monitor. I have also tested an HDR YouTube demo, and when the HDR text quickly moves on this monitor, then you can see ghosting and it is really painful to watch. I'm not sure if my cell phone camera will be able to catch this ghosting, but in real life I can see ghosting and it's like really painful to watch. I am happy to report that this is not an issue whenever else I use the monitor. I have never seen this ghosting in my daily usage for development or for gaming. To my very professional testing with my eyes, I could also argue that brightness of 800 and 1000 nits looks almost identical, as well as brightness of 0 to 25%, so it's like from 0 to 200 nits, also looks almost identical. Again, my eyes are qualified to test brightness of the monitor, so take that as is. Now comes the most important part, at least for me, the user experience. How does it feel using this Titan Army P27GR monitor as a daily driver? I have swapped my expensive Asus monitor for this Titan Army monitor for the whole week, and I used it for my software development work, I used it for video editing, and of course for gaming. First of all, I'm happy to report that the monitor wakes up from the sleep mode very quickly. It takes only about 6 seconds and it is fully functional. Comparing to my expensive Asus monitor, that one takes almost 12 seconds, so double as much. And to be honest, I'm pretty irritated that my Asus monitor takes this long to wake up. Another very annoying thing about my Asus monitor is that sometimes it does not detect input and I have to turn the monitor off and on for it to properly detect the input signal. This is not an issue with the Titan Army P27GR. This one detected input correctly no matter what I did. I swapped the input from my main computer to my test bench and back and forth. It always worked, and it always worked from the first try. I'm also very glad to say that the monitor does not have any coil whine, any weird sounds, any weird noises, and it does not have LED backlight for the buttons over there, so it does not distract my attention, especially when gaming, and does not irritate me with extra light where I don't want it to be. With the default settings at 1440p and 180Hz refresh rate, I can use the monitor for hours and hours, and my eyes are not getting tired, which I'm very happy about. But if I enable the FPS mode, which is supposed to be good for FPS games, then my eyes get tired really quickly, in about 2-3 hours, and I want to take a break. I believe this is just due to brightness, and the experience might be different for different users, but the good thing is that I don't need to adjust anything out of the box. I can just install the monitor and start using it. Now let's talk about the hardware, or what you get in the box and how does the monitor feel when you actually touch it and install it. The box and the packaging is extremely simple but pretty secure, so unboxing experience is very simple and straightforward. A part of the monitor, you of course have the monitor stand, then you have a power cord, power adapter, and a DisplayPort cable. The control buttons of the monitor are a bit stiff, but I really like them, and I really appreciate that Titan Army installed physical buttons to control the monitor instead of the touch buttons, which sometimes or rather often don't register the touch and could be pretty annoying. So the buttons are physical, they get the job done, but to my liking they are just a little bit too stiff. The bezels around the monitor are pretty thin and I do not bother about them at all, but at the same time you have enough space at the top of the monitor so you can safely install your web camera if you need to. In terms of input ports, we get 2 HDMI 2.0 ports and 2 DisplayPort 1.4, which is really generous and I really like. For me, it is important to have at least 2 video inputs for a monitor because I very often connect the same monitor to my main computer and to my test bench. With just one input, I would have to constantly switch the cable back and forth and so on. When the monitor comes with both 2 HDMI and 2 DisplayPort, I consider it to be as a big plus, at least for me and for my use case. The DisplayPort cable which is supplied with the monitor is unfortunately a bit too short. It is 1.5 meters, which is kind of enough for most of the users, but a bit too short for my use when I have an external test bench staying on another table and I need to use another cable. Now it's gonna be a little bit of negativity, because this monitor stand is just really bad. It gets the job done, but it is very shaky and very unstable. So for example, when I have my monitor on my table and I just type on my mechanical keyboard, the monitor shakes back and forth, and at the beginning it was utterly and very irritating. After a few days I got used to it and it was not as annoying, but if you plan to use this monitor as a daily driver, I would strongly recommend to invest into a proper monitor mount. Luckily, Titan Army P27GR has a VESA 100 mount support, so you can install it on a proper monitor bar. Alternatively, if you have a very stable desk, then the monitor with the current stand will be just fine. Let me try to show you how it's gonna shake if I just touch it. You can see, I'm not sure if you can see it in the camera, but just slightest touch to the corner of the monitor and the monitor is shaking back and forth. So yeah, the monitor itself is good, but the stand, it is just not stable, and if I would be using this monitor full time, I would definitely upgrade the stand. Other than that, I really don't have anything bad to say about Titan Army P27GR monitor. It's a great budget option and it will satisfy 90% of casual gamers, and it would even be good for some pro gamers on a tight budget. So let's take a look a bit at the competition. Titan Army asked me to include the link to the Best Buy page where they sell the monitor, so let's compare what are the options we have on Best Buy. At the time of recording this video, I could not find anything remotely close to Titan Army P27GR for the same price. The only option available for about 170 USD is Acer Nitro 27. The monitor has almost identical specification, but it comes with a single DisplayPort 1.2 input. In my opinion, this is just unacceptable, and personally for me, I would never buy that monitor just because it has a single input. Unfortunately, comparison between Titan Army P27GR and the Acer Nitro or Nitro 27 is not that single-sided. The Acer monitor, even though it is inferior, it comes with a 3-year warranty, while Titan Army provides only 1-year warranty for this monitor. So if you're concerned about the warranty and you want it to have for several years, then unfortunately Titan Army is not going to qualify for that. A part of Best Buy, you can also buy Titan Army P27GR on AliExpress, but AliExpress is a lottery and I would not count on any warranty whenever you're buying anything from AliExpress. If I compare Titan Army P27GR to any local offers that I can find here in Sweden, then the price comparison goes straight into the Titan Army's advantage. Anything similar, anything that I would pick instead of Titan Army cost 250 or more euros or dollars. So the price difference is about 70 or 80 US dollars, euros, which is rather substantial. To conclude this Titan Army P27GR gaming monitor review, I decided to give it some scores in a few different categories, and the categories are picked in terms of importance personally for me. So what's important for me as a user of the monitor? The first score is going to be, what is the out-of-the-box experience? Do you need to do any extra tweaking? Do you need to do any extra adjustments? Or you can just take the monitor out of the box and use it as is. My score for Titan Army P27GR will be 8 out of 10, where 10 is the best score and 0 is the worst score. Why it's not 10 out of 10 is because of the monitor stand. Even though you can use this monitor stand, the out-of-the-box experience with this stand is not the best. Other than that, I have absolutely zero complaints and I would do absolutely zero extra adjustments. I would just take the monitor and use it as is. The next score is going to cover the features, and again, here I give this monitor 8 out of 10. The monitor has a 1440p resolution, IPS panel with 1 millisecond response time and 180 Hz refresh rate, and the size of 27 inches is perfect for this resolution. Why it's not 10 out of 10? Well, because I still do miss those extra pixels from my 4K monitor where I can simply put more stuff on the screen at the same time. In terms of quality and warranty, I can give Titan Army P27GR only 6 out of 10 points, and that's not because of the quality issues. I actually did not find a single problem with this monitor after close inspection. Why it gets only 6 points is because the warranty is only 1 year. If it would be 2 years or 3 years, then it would be at least 8 points, if not all 10 points. Value for the money, the monitor gets 8 points. For this price of $170 US, you simply do not find anything better than this. And for 99 or 98% of casual gamers and many professional gamers, this will be a very good budget option if you cannot afford buying those premium monitors with a premium stand and premium features. Finally, the personal score for this monitor is going to be 7 out of 10. Would I use this monitor for my personal needs? And much to my surprise, yes, I would use it, even though I do miss the extra pixels of my 4K Asus monitor, where I can simply put more stuff on the screen. I really like this Titan Army P27GR monitor. It is easy on my eyes, it is comfortable, it has perfect size, 180Hz refresh rate is really nice, and it basically covers most of my needs. So yeah, 7 out of 10 is a solid score, and I can safely recommend this monitor for anyone who wants a solid gaming monitor and does not want to overpay. With this, I have to say thanks for watching, thanks for listening, I hope to see you in the next video, and bye for now.